I am foraging glass bottles along a roadside where people are known to dump things in a specific type of glass bottle so that I can ferment my kombucha a second time, do the second ferment, and that's when you add flavor to it. And I've found some bottles. This is the type of bottle I'm looking for, glass with a lid. I know it's kind of strange to pick up trash in the time of coronavirus, but I'm going to disinfect my hands, and I am going to disinfect the bottle, of course. So we'll see what else I can find along this roadside. Ideally, I need the flip-top bale type beer bottles, but I'll have to order those. But for now, I think I'll be able to use these. I found some twine in my trash foraging, and that could come in handy for hanging up an additional clothesline. I've been saving little bits of odds and ends like rubber bands and of course plastic bags for reuse. So I'm gonna add this to my stash. Found another bottle to go in my stash of trash. Wow, this like roadside dump is a gold mine. Ooh, here's a pretty blue bottle, Sky Cosmo. That would not be good for fermenting, but I'm gonna clean it up and maybe use it to put flowers in. Woohoo, another bottle. The bag is pretty full. I think I've got like 5 or 6 bottles that I'll use for my second brewing of kombucha. That's when you add the flavoring to it. I did talk to Mucho Pan, and they said that they could order some flip-top bale type bottles for me, but I don't know if they'll be here in time for me to, by the time my kombucha is ready for the second fermenting. So I'm going to try these bottles. I have sanitized my hands. I always carry sanitizer. Here I've got sanitizer hooked onto my water bottle, and I'm going to head home and wash my stash. So when I was a kid, the very first chapter book that I read was called The Boxcar Children, and that book inspired me for a lot of things. I think it inspired me like well, that's where I sort of got my first like inkling of like, oh my god, I want to live alone. Like when I was in 2nd grade, I wanted to have my freedom. And what I loved about that book was the kids, they had a tragic story. Their parents died, and I forget who took them in, but then they were mean. He was mean to them. So then the kids ended up living in a boxcar, and they found all the supplies for the boxcar at a nearby dump. And I'll always remember the little girl, and I can't even remember her name, finding a cracked teapot or tea cup. And that's what she used to drink out of. They kept their milk cool in a stream, and they made mattresses, I believe, out of leaves. And these kids just like lived by themselves. And the boy, I think he did like odd jobs around town and stuff to get some money. But I just absolutely love that story. And that's kind of what got me like into the whole trash thing too, reuse. And so yeah, me foraging today for bottles to use for my second brew or second ferment of kombucha kind of reminds me of that. The boxcar kids hunting for treasures in a dump. Because here, there are of course landfills here, but a lot of people just toss things by the side of the road, and so that's why I thought, well, I'm going to walk the perimeter road called the Calle Panoramica that goes around the city, and I'm going to see what treasures I can find. And so, yeah, super happy that I found what I needed. And once I get the flip-top bale type jars, bottles for fermenting, I'll just use these for storing grains and seasonings, you know, like seeds and stuff like that in.